All right, so we're going to go ahead and start our third session. This is about sharing settings in Drive. Obviously, you'll do sharing in a variety of areas, but I always just label it back to Drive. That's kind of the section that we've been doing right now. Just kind of before I end, just some quick housekeeping items. Don't forget these sessions are recorded and available to view after the session. I did turn around. I've been placing a link to the YouTube video directly on the event page. So if you are attending this event and you want to go back to it, you can go to it there. You can actually also, and let me just do this quick trick. If you go to, I'm going to go to new incognito window, and I just want to show you that if you go to youtube.com, you can find all of these videos located under me. So if you just type in my name, and going incognito means it more or less signs me out. I just want you to see what it looks like. We are live now, so you're going to see a live now. But then all the videos will show up right here, and you can watch and rewatch these sessions as much as you want. I've got a couple playlists, but you can watch them if you want to. There's just videos that interest me. So the videos are available after we go. You can enter questions over to the right, and I'll answer them as we go. Just as you'll see, kind of if you move over into this area, just over to the right, you'll see a section. If you click on that, you can put in a question, enter in a question anytime, and I'll answer them as I go. If you are watching through YouTube, you do not have access to the Q&A, but you can always email me and I'll respond after the session to the best of my ability. There is a slight delay to the video, so if you have a question about something that I'm talking about, I might actually be moving on before I answer your question, because I'm about 10 to 15 seconds ahead of what the video actually shows you. So kind of keep that in mind. At the end, I will share a link to a follow-up survey. You do need to fill this out for a PDC, but if you do not want those PDC points, please go ahead and fill out the feedback purposes for me. That just makes sure I'm covering information that's relevant to you, and the sessions are going in a way that's beneficial to you. So even if you don't want the PDC, you can just mark down in the bottom question, no PDC or whatever. But I appreciate all the feedback that you guys have given me. It just gives me a great way to go forward to make sure these sessions are going to be valuable for your time. All right, so as I said before, we are going to talk about Drive and sharing today. So in your Drive, I always start with Drive, but there's multiple ways to actually share. And that was one of the great benefits of going towards Google and doing Google Docs and Google Sheets, is because of the sharing ability that you can share a document and everybody can edit it on the same time, and it's all the same document. So how do we share? We've probably done some basics of sharing, but I'll review some of that. So just if you had any questions or if something wasn't totally clear, maybe we'll clear that up for you today. So you can share directly from Drive. I can share both folders and documents. If I scroll down here so I can see kind of a variety of things. The reason I only share from Drive usually is if I'm trying to share more than one document, which comes in handy if you don't want to put them all in a folder, but you want to share them all with the same people. So if I click on one and then hold Control and click on another item and click on a folder and click up here and click down on a video, you can see I can jump around if I'm holding Control. Right click and share, or you can choose share up here, and it'll actually share all 5 items at the same time. So that's when I share in Drive. That just kind of gives you some more flexibility if you want to share more than one item. Go ahead and click done. If you are inside of a document, the blue share button is how you would share this item. So I just click on share, and you're going to see the same window. And I'll come back and talk about this window a little bit more, so no worries, kind of stick with me there. And then the next thing that we can actually share is you can actually set up your share settings when you share a document through your email. You may or may not have seen this document before, and so let me just do a quick email up. So if I pull up my email here, and I'm going to pretend that I'm going to send this to Donna, and it's just a test, and she gets a lot of test things from me, so she wouldn't be terribly shocked if she saw it right now. But so I want to share a document directly from my Drive. You'll notice here, let me hit cancel again, you can attach, would be like attaching something straight from your computer, or I can click the Drive icon, which is going to pull from my Google Drive. So if I click on that, and then I'm just going to share with her a file that I know is called test, because I just have a test document, and I'm going to say insert. So this actually puts the Google Doc directly in an image, and I can just type as normal and say whatever I need to say, continue with my message before or after that. So when I go to send this, you'll see this warning come up, and it says, hey, this file is not shared with the recipient. So Google does a really good job with that, saying, hey, they can't see this document, so we need to make sure they can see it. So you do have options right here that I can go ahead and say anyone with a link can see this document. This would be really good if you're expecting an email to be forwarded on with the document, so that if Jonna sends it on to somebody else and that person sends it on to somebody else, I don't have to worry about getting requests to open up that document. It'll just be whoever gets that email is going to be able to see it. However, maybe I only want Jonna to have access. So if I go to more options, I can now just say recipients of this email, and I can choose whether I want them to view, edit, comment, just like you would in a normal share setting. So if you see that come up, just know you kind of have that options there. So that little advanced or more options was just kind of below this first one. I just want Jonna to be able to see it. I don't want anybody else. So even if she tries to forward it on, that won't let anybody else at that point be able to access that document. Of course, you can send without sharing, but just keep in mind, if you do that, people will not be able to access your document. So you want to make sure you don't do that. I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here. So just so you know, there's kind of some little tests in there for you. Clear out of that so I don't have a thing there. So just kind of keep in mind, as you're sharing, there's multiple ways to actually share a document. From Drive, within the document, file, slides, or in the email through the attachment. And it usually throws up that warning. I haven't yet had that warning not show up for me, but I'm usually always looking for it, and I'm pretty aware if something hasn't been shared to somebody. All right, so let's get into the different types of share settings. I'm going to make this just a touch bigger so you guys can see it really well. Okay, this particular thing about the different rights. We have owners, which is the person who originally created the document. The editor, which is you're going to have about as many rights as the owner, except for a few, and you can see like here they can't actually delete the files or the folders, and they cannot transfer ownership. That's reserved for the owner. And then you have commenter, which has a few less rights, and you can see that I can't actually edit the document, they can't share it, and they can't remove it from the folder. And then you have a viewer that has even fewer, meaning they can just look at it, they can't comment on it. That's about the only difference between a commenter and a viewer, is the commenter can see and view comments while the viewer cannot. So if you set a document to have view rights, they won't see any comments. And that's actually what we've been doing with some of our lesson plan or our curriculum lesson plan stuff we've been gathering, is the teachers can actually comment on it and do whatever they need to do, but everybody else who has view rights never see those comments. They're actually hidden to a viewer. Anybody else who's comments or editing rights can see those comments, so that way we can work on the lesson plan kind of behind the scenes and make changes as we need to, but the viewer actually never sees anything. They see the most up-to-date version. So those are all the different versions that you can have of different rights or your different settings. The owner, the most important thing to remember about an owner, if the owner deletes it, it is gone. It is deleted forever. So if you are the owner of a document that many people are sharing and you don't want that document anymore, I recommend you transfer ownership. That's something we'll talk about here in a little bit. But you want to transfer that ownership so that that document can continue to go on. You just got to be careful with that, because if you delete it, it's deleted with you. If you're an editor and you delete an item, you will actually remove that file from your drive, and if you still want it, you're going to have to contact the owner and ask for them to reshare it. So you have to be careful with that. The only ones that don't do that is if you're looking for the district ones and they are the shared with anybody in USD 480 they can find and view. If you remove those, then you just have to go back and refine them and add them to your drive. All right, let me jump back to drive over here. There we go. I'm going to pull back out. So if I'm actually in a document right now, and let's go into the share. So I'm going to right click and share. So what is actually shared? Let me back up one. If I go to my drive, you'll see here, how do I know at a glance if an item is shared or not? For folders, you actually see this little person show up. So I know both of these folders are shared folders. That instantly tells me that I probably don't want to move too many documents in there, or don't delete things just willy-nilly. I need to be aware of what I do in that folder because it's shared with other people. And then as I scroll down, let me find a document. Okay, here's a document that's shared with more people, and it has a little like double person there, so it's shared with them. So that's how I know at a glance if an item is shared or not. And it was kind of, you have to be aware of those pictures, and you see them a little bit different on there. If you want to see actually who is shared on those items, jump down to my test and pull up my share here. So right click, share. you see this one to start. If it hasn't ever been shared with anybody, this is the first thing you see. We all know this is where you start entering in emails. And again, I share a lot of things with Dr. Duncan. She's going to see an email come up. I can choose if I want her to have view rights, comment, whatever I want her to have here, and I can even send her a message in the email. Now, at this time, I'm not going to send her a notification just because I don't want her to get an email. So I'm going to uncheck that box, so it kind of comes in handy if you are sharing with somebody, you had something ahead of time and you're going to go talk to them about it later. You don't actually have to notify them of it right away. I only do that if I know I'm like sending a bunch of stuff at one time and I don't want them to get a bunch of emails. I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, it's going to shoot me a warning, say, hey, you don't want to send an invitation. They're not going to know that they have it. They can still find it and they're shared with me. Remember that, it's just not going to send them an email. So I shared it. I'm actually going to, my little people popped up here. I'm going to go back into it because I want to click on advanced. So it says here it's shared with Jenny Duncan. And if I open it up, I can see here that I can change this. I can add more people if I need to. Send one thing to Jonna, and I'm not going to notify her. And I'm going to say, okay. It's going to save it. So now you see this. I have Jenny can comment, and I have Jonna that can edit. I don't want Jonna to edit anymore. I want to make sure she can view. So I'm going to jump it over to view. If maybe I want to hand this document over to Dr. Duncan, I can click on it and say she is the owner, and I'll actually transfer the ownership. So that's where I'm talking about. If you don't want a document anymore, you can actually transfer the ownership of that document, which gives you all those rights, but it also doesn't get deleted by you if you don't want it. So I'm actually going to cancel that because I don't want it to go there. One of the next things that this is just kind of came up right towards the end of the year was setting a restricted share. And I thought, oh, that's an awesome, awesome thing. So I did a little bit more research and found out some bit about it. If you hover over the name, you'll see this little clock come up. If I click on that, the restricted sharing only works in view and commenting. It doesn't work yet on editing. And what it does is it reduces their level of access by 1. So if they were can comment, it moves them to can view. If they were can view, it takes off their access. And I can restrict that. So maybe I only want to allow Jonna to do can commenting for 30 days, and I can actually use it as a custom date. So maybe I want it to be on the 24th. So 36 days. I'm only going to let her be able to comment this on 36th day. After that expiration, it's actually going to move her to can view, and she will no longer be able to comment. I can still keep the comments and things like that. So if you had students that were commenting on a document, you could open it up. It only could allow commenting for a week, and then it reduces them down to viewing. And part of their assignment is to make sure they get out and comment. If they don't get that done in that time frame, then they didn't complete the assignment by when they were supposed to. And then you don't have to go do this by yourself. This is done automatically. If I don't want to do that anymore, I would hit Save Changes. It's going to throw that all in there, and you'll actually see those. So you can see my comments, and this one's now kind of darkened in now, so it tells you when it expires. So I thought that was really cool. I'm a little bummed that it's not including the can edit to like can comment section, but I'm hoping that's going to be something that eventually comes. Google's always changing. Like I said, that came right at the end of the year. So I'm hoping they're going to roll that setting out just a little bit more. So keep your ears open for it. Maybe you'll find out some more on that. But that's kind of a handy little feature right there. So we've looked in. We've got into the advanced settings so you can see who has commenting or who has what rights. The other nice addition that they added, it's probably been about 6 months ago, but I can actually prevent editors from doing even more or viewers. Maybe, and you'll see those items right down here. I can prevent editors from changing the access or adding new people. So if I shared an item with somebody that I want them to be able to edit that document just like me, do everything they need to do, but I don't want them changing anybody else's access, and I don't want them sharing with anybody else, I can check the box. I, as the owner, am the only one who can do that. The editor cannot decide that, only me. The next thing is you can disable the options to download, print, and copy for commenters and viewers. So this would prevent people from downloading, printing your document, or copying it. You make your choices on what you want to do there. I haven't used it really yet unless there's something in particular I don't want people to be able to print or download. So if you had a test study guide, you would want, you maybe not want that to be printed or copied, right? So hold on a second. All right. So I had a little bit of a technical difficulty right there. I'm going to hit done. So that's kind of your different shared settings. Know that if you have a shared folder, let me jump out here. So right now, I have this 480 LHS shared folder. This is shared with everybody at LHS. If you place a document within a shared folder, it inherits the same settings as that folder itself. Meaning, if I take my test document, or actually I'm going to take this one, and I would put it up here into my 480 shared, it's going to be shared with everybody else that that item was shared with. If you had editors on that folder, the editors will now be able to access that particular document. So that's something you kind of want to keep in mind when you're dealing with shared folders. If I now move that document out of 480 LHS, it actually takes away all those settings. So if you don't want a document to be shared with everybody, but you want it to be shared with one person, and you pulled it out of a folder, you have to go back in and add that one person in order to keep sharing with them. So just know that it inherits the settings, or the whatever share settings you have. If you put a document within a shared folder, it takes on the same settings. So in terms of a classroom example, what could you do? How could you use shared folders and shared documents beyond just sharing a document here or there? For me, the way I kind of viewed it is, say you wanted a class folder that would be all your class resources for a research paper. So right now, I'm just going to call this Social Studies, and this is my main level document, our main level folder. So I'm going to go ahead and say Create. I'm going to have Social Studies Research. And there you are. I'm going to click on it here. Now this main folder, I'm actually not going to share, because I said, if you put anything in there, it's automatically going to share with it. But I'm still an organized person that I want to be able to put all my documents in here. So any of my research, my documents, everything I'm going to do, I'm going to work on it in this level. But what do I want to do when I want to go ahead and share it with my students? So I'm going to actually create a new folder, and I'm going to say Shared Research, Social Studies Research Files. And that tells me that this one's going to be the shared folder. So it's a folder within a folder. And I can keep working, and I can add new documents in here. Let me jump out. I'll even add some test ones here. And then we'll put all of these in there. Right click, and I'm like, these are all the documents I need for my assignment, but I'm not ready to share them out to the kids. I just need to make sure I get all my world in order and have all my stuff there. So I'm going to click on it and say Move. So all those are going to be located in Social Studies. And so you see them all here. They are actually not shared at this time, except for this one, because that was a default sharing. But if I click on it here, I'm going to say, I want this to be shared, and I don't have this class, but I'm going to pretend that Dr. Duncan is my Social Studies class. You can actually even create a group. I do have a group. I had created a group in Mail, which actually in next Tuesday is our group session. So if you want to know how to make groups, you can join in for that one. If I click on that, that dumps in all my 16 contacts that were in that group. I'm not going to send them an email because they will wonder what I'm doing. And say OK. So now this is my shared folder. That little shared icon comes up. So I can work on these documents, get prepped, do whatever I need to do, even if I don't want to see everything right away. And then as soon as I'm ready, I can click it and drag it, and then it'll be shared out with my class. So my class just has to go and access this particular folder so that they know what they need to do with it. Okay, so kind of keep that in mind, is you don't have to worry about always having that whole folder shared. You can put a shared folder within that main folder, so you can keep your organization, but you can have a shared folder that you can dump things into when you're ready to send it out. You can also do live copy, which was something we talked about last time. So say I just found this document. It's hard for me to locate it again. I want to keep it here. I don't want to move it. So if you select on it, hit Shift-Z, and you'll see the window come up, just kind of like Move, but remember it says Add Here. So I'm going to click on My Drive. You do have to navigate down to it. It doesn't just jump up where you are. And then I'm going to click on it here. and then I'm going to hit my share it, and I'm going to say add. Again, it's going to tell me you're sharing this because it inherited it. Okay, so here's test doc. I click in here, you'll see test doc. So it's actually in both places, and it's live on both of them. So you want to keep in mind that it's okay to do the live share still if you want to, or you can move it directly in there so you can continue to work on it. That's just how I would set it up for an actual class. Another item to keep in track of sharing, because sharing can start to get really, really crazy, and paying attention to all the details and who's done what and where are things going, is don't forget about the activity pane. So right here at the eye, if I click on it, you see it pop out. I have detail and I have activity. If I go into that, and you can see all the things I've just done, and it tells me when I've done it, and it's easy to pay attention to who's done what. I'm going to jump back down here to my social studies one. What I really like about the social studies and the activity pane, so you can see the shared, this is a quick way to see who it's shared with if you know you're not going to make any changes. Click on details, and you'll see here little icons come up, and and you hover over it, they tell you who it is and what they can do. These people can all edit. If I click on the more, it's going to give me more that they can all edit. So that's a quick way to see who's in it if you know you're not going to make any changes. I can't actually make any changes to this here. So you want to keep that keep up with that if you know you have certain groups or certain people there added. All right, so another item for sharing that I like, it comes in handy, is link sharing. I use link sharing a lot, particularly when I'm I'm trying to set up something that I want people to access it just through a shortened URL. I'm going to show you how to do that. Or if I'm sending a link and adding it to a website that I want parents to access or people outside of the district. So you can turn on link sharing. I use it an awful lot. So link sharing is in a multitude of ways, and they kind of move this around on me a little bit. Go back into my test documents. So here's a test document here. I can do the same thing from Drive, but I'm going to go to Share and Get Shareable Link. This turns on the link sharing, meaning that I can copy and paste the link so that people can access it right away. So if I click on that, it gives me a link, and here is the kicker. It says anyone at Liberal can, with the link, can view. So if I were to send this link in an email, anybody who gets that email can click on the link and can view the item. Or if I send them the link through a website or something like that. If you want to change that, click on the kind of the line, and I'm going to go down and go to More. I can change it right there, but what I wanted you to see is this particular piece. On the on and public is I could actually have people search it if they want to search this actual document. I can't say that I've actually ever done it that way, because I always share it in some way with a link. So that's kind of not me, but I guess if you had a reason that you wanted to try that, go for it. And then you have on anyone with link. The difference between anyone with link and the Liberal USD 480. Anyone with link means that they don't even have to have a Google account to sign on. So that is really, really handy for parents. If you want parents to be able to access a document at home, you don't know if they have a Hotmail, a Microsoft account, a Live account, a Gmail account, an SKTC account. I mean, there's so many different accounts out there, and you don't want to lock them into Google. You can open that up so anyone with the link can view it, can comment on it, can edit. You have your choices on that. But they do not have to be in 480. If it has the on USD 480, they do need to be logged in with their school account. So if I were to log in with my personal Gmail account, I actually would not be able to use that link, and it wouldn't work for me because it's only USD 480, and it would make me request permission to look at it. So kind of keep in mind how you want to use those. And you can choose whether you want them to have view, comment, or edit. If you were to say anyone with a link can edit, one of the things on that that's important to remember is since they don't have to log in with an account, you can't track changes. I mean, you can't see who did what. So if it were me in the classroom, I wouldn't share this particular piece with anyone with the link public to my students, because we know they have Google accounts. And so they don't need that full open access, but then I can't track who does what. So I can actually go through revision history if they're logged in and see who did what changes to the document and tracking it and making those items. And I also can't see who's logged in at the same time. So that's kind of when I would use that. You just want to be careful if you're going to have it open as edit. It's just how are you going to use it? What's going to be the important pieces to you? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and say on this document, anyone with a link can view, and I'm going to save. So when I'm sending home a paper, think about sending home your very first document at the beginning of the year for your open house, but you want people to access a field trip sign-up form or a snack day. I don't think you have snack days anymore, but you have a particular form that you want them to sign up for and you want them to have access to. Now, I did make this one can view. You can make it Kenneth, so maybe just classroom announcements. What I need to do is copy the link, and I click on that button right here, and it's going to copy it. And I go to a URL shortener. Now, the one I use quite a bit is goo.gl. Hit enter. This was just easy for me to remember. There's another one if you want to use it as well. Another one that you could look at is tinyurl.com. I use it a lot too. The thing I like about tinyurl is I can modify the link. So if I hit Control V or if I say case, if I want this to say sign up here, but you see it says I can modify that URL if it's available. So I'm going to go ahead and say make it. And it was not available, so it would give me a random generator that I could try to remake it if I wanted to. But you see this particular link went from that to this. Now, if I was going to do a random one, I like Google's just a little bit more because it's a little bit easier. It's a little shorter. So I'm going to hit paste again. Again, I have this really long web address. And then I say shorten. And then right there is my link. These are case sensitive, so if you send them home, you want to make sure parents know that. You'll see I use this Google URL shortener when I do the forms, so you guys don't have to type in a long one, and it's really easy for kids to get a few letters mixed up. So this at least reduces the number of letters that you get to mix up. So you can kind of create your shortened URL from there. So I use that an awful lot. Particularly if I want somebody outside of the district to access my information, that I can't like email them a link. So I just put it on a piece of paper so that they can type it in when they get home that night. All right. So those two URL shorteners that I use a lot are goo.gl and the other one is tinyurl.com if you're interested in those. And that's when you do that link sharing. And actually somebody jumped on. See, I have an anonymous chameleon right now that typed in to get into my thing. I have no idea who it is, but since I did not set this up to be you have to sign in, I don't know who it is. So that's kind of thing there. And then maybe I don't want them to access anymore. Keep in mind you can come up to go to share, and I'm going to go say off, only specific people access. If it's anybody watching this session, I'm sorry, I'm going to kick you out, but I want you to see that yes, I can kick you off. It'll eventually reload, and they wouldn't have access to this document anymore. So just to keep in mind that if you didn't mean to share something, you can always go back and change that if you need to. So we're about ready to wrap up here. I'm going to go ahead and jump to my ending. Don't forget to take the follow-up survey. So you'll see I used the Google shortener, URL shortener here to do the survey. Make sure you fill that out, even if you don't want PDC credit, because the feedback really does help me. You can email me questions at any time. I try to get back to you from the questions you put in the form. I'm jumping around quite a bit right now. I hope this information was very helpful for you because I know that sharing can get a little bit crazy after a while. But remember, you can watch and rewatch this video to clarify any of those questions that you did have. Sharing is an awesome, awesome feature of Google, so please take advantage of it. Our next session, oops, and I even realized I wrote the wrong day here, is Thursday. It'll be this Thursday, July 21st, excuse me, at 4 o'clock. We are going to be talking about forms, and I know a lot of people have been interested in forms, and there's actually been an update to forms. They are now going to allow you to do graded quizzes. You could do that in the past with an add-on, but now they have it built into forms. A lot myself, so I'm going to get in and work on that as well. So forms is a great feature on the Google tools that I really do enjoy. So if you have a chance and you're interested, please join us for the Drive form session on Thursday. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to get ready to sign off here in a little bit. I'm going to wait just a few minutes just to give you guys some time. But thank you so much for joining me this evening. It was a quick session tonight. You guys take care.